It's Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. President Trump is really frustrated with a couple of people. Judicial tyranny of the utmost levels, the most egregious example yet. And the big, beautiful bill gets a cold welcome in the Senate. Next on the AM Update.
And I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time.
Tyranny. Judicial tyranny. This is a judicial coup.
This is the largest cut in spending in at least 30 years.
The House bill is going to add about $4 trillion to the debt ceiling.
We are stealing from our children and grandchildren.
Every sort of expert are subject to all kinds of biases. One of the responsibilities of living in a democracy is to do your own research.
I am unemployed right now.
Repent, turn to God, believe the gospel, obey it.
During his Memorial Day remarks, President Trump offered some heartfelt remarks to Gold Star families.
For the families of the fallen, you feel the absence of your heroes every day in the family. These are great families. These are wonderful families. In the familiar laugh no longer heard, the empty space at Sunday dinner, or the want of a hug or a pat on the back that will never come again. Every Gold Star family fights a battle long after the victory is won, and today we lift you up and we hold you high.
President Trump, along with the rest of his cabinet, seemingly had a very busy Memorial Day weekend, speaking at various service academies commencement ceremonies. Vice President J.D. Vance, for example, shook over 1,000 hands at the U.S. Naval Academy's commencement ceremonies over the weekend. President Trump also very frustrated with a couple of people. Those would be two Vladimirs, Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and Vladimir Putin of Russia. Particularly on Vladimir Putin, you can hear it in Trump's voice. He doesn't know what's going on with that guy.
Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Russian media is reporting that Putin's helicopter, while he was on board, had to fend off a drone attack from Ukraine. That's what they're saying. Don't know if there's any truth to that claim at all. Well, at home again, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Friday that a federal court order requiring the U.S. government to maintain custody of deportees on a flight meant for South Sudan will cause, quote, significant and irreparable harm to U.S. foreign policy. The Trump administration late Friday filed two court documents after U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy of Massachusetts said that the deportation flight violated his previous April injunction that allows deportees time to challenge an order to be sent to a country other than their own. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller says, if it walks like judicial coup and talks like a judicial coup, it probably is one.
Well, that's the right word to use, of course. Tyranny. Judicial tyranny. This is a judicial coup by communist Marxist judges against the laws, Constitution, and democracy of the United States. The American people held an election, voted overwhelmingly in a landslide, in a historic mandate to deliver sovereignty and security and homeland defense to this nation. We also have a toxic stew of extreme anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, Marxism, and communism on our college campuses, aided and abetted by foreign nationals imported into this country, spreading American hate on our soil, on our college campuses. And now, in a matter of hours, literally a lawsuit is filed, and hours later, a communist district court judge says that foreign nationals living in foreign countries have a constitutional right to study in America? That we have to let communists from foreign nations into our country to poison our campuses with Marxist ideas, anti-Semitic ideas, anti-American ideas, Jew hatred? That's a constitutional right now?
That is Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Oh, you thought we were still talking about the first example of judicial tyranny that unfolded over the long Memorial Day weekend? No, there was another judge that said just hours after an executive action from President Trump barring foreigners from certain countries from being able to study in American schools, just hours later, a judge said, nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't do that. The previous example that I just cited, where Marco Rubio says that this judge's actions in Boston, this judge's action is causing serious and irreparable damage to American foreign policy. These were violent terrorists, violent gang members that were trying to get out of our country back to South Sudan. And yet, probably in the most egregious examples, unfolding at a quicker pace, you'll notice, because the Trump administration has yet to buck these judges just overtly, you'll notice that it seems like the frequencies of these judges trying to step in and create their own fiefdom, they think they're their own gods, you'll notice that they're feeling emboldened. That's what we're seeing right here. The Trump administration has to soon just tell these judges to take a flying leap. That's the only way this stops. If they continue to try to play ball with the court system, it's going to completely stillbirth this second Trump administration. Well, over in Congress, here's House Speaker Mike Johnson on the passage of the big, beautiful bill.
Largest cut in spending in at least 30 years and arguably of all time. We're cutting over $1.5 trillion in federal spending while we check all the boxes and bring about a pro-growth economy. And the CBO has been panned because, as you said, they don't do dynamic scoring. What that means is they don't account for the growth that will be fostered by all the policies that are in this big piece of legislation. This is not theoretical, Jake. Just remember the last Trump administration. After the first 2 years, we brought about the greatest economy in the history of the world, not just the U.S. The growth was off the charts. It was an average of about 3% of growth in GDP. Why? Because we cut taxes and we cut regulations. We're doing the same thing this time around, but on steroids. This is a much larger package, a much more robust package with all these features that will really get the economy going, because wages will rise, job creators, entrepreneurs, risk takers will have more ability to expand their businesses, U.S. manufacturing onshore.
So that is Mike Johnson touting some of the benefits from the one big beautiful bill, which heads to the Senate, where it got a cold welcome. Here's Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky.
The House bill is going to add about $4 trillion to the debt ceiling. The Senate bill adds $5 trillion. There's nothing fiscally conservative about expanding the debt ceiling more than we've ever done it.
And Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin says we're stealing from our kids with continued out-of-control spending.
I couldn't care less if he's upset. I'm concerned about my children, my grandchildren, and the fact that we are stealing from them. We are stealing from our children and grandchildren. $37 trillion in debt, and we're going to add to it as Republicans? That is unacceptable. And that's why there's no way I'm going to vote for this bill in its current form.
So there's Ron Johnson of Wisconsin saying that he doesn't care that the president is upset about his lack of support for the big, beautiful bill. The both sides of this debate, it's like a zero sum. I mean, there's no in between here that I've seen. The claims that both sides, pro or con, when it comes to just Republicans alone, right-wingers alone, there's no middle ground here. Because you can't simultaneously claim that this does the most cuts, this accomplishes the most cuts or guarantees the most cuts in spending in over 30 years, if not ever, like Mike Johnson said. And then you can't also say that there's nothing fiscally conservative about this, as Rand Paul said, and that this continues the unabated spending, as Ron Johnson said. And by the way, this is not just Trump's sycophancy here on the pro side. I mean, I'm sure some of it is. But I see a lot of people who I really admire and respect saying much the same thing that Speaker Johnson is. And I see a lot of people who I admire and respect, like Senator Ron Johnson, saying what he just articulated, that this is more of the same, just out of control spending. So both sides, there's one side is going to win and one side is going to lose. One side is right and one side is wrong. There's no, at least from my vantage point, no kind of in-between ground. Well, a couple of quick hitters here before our break. This would be French President Emmanuel Macron. There's no audio here. Sometimes I wish we had a video element on the AM update. But he was seen getting off of his flight in Vietnam when he is shoved in the face, assaulted by his wife, Bridget, who I think is over 30 years his elder, 20 years his elder. That relationship is one of the darndest things. Let's just put it that way. But there's a video of him just getting smacked in the face in front of the public eye by Bridget. Now, Emmanuel Macron, French president, said that it was just a playful thing, but the video in question didn't make it appear that way. Jussie Smollett, the failed actor. This is MAGA country, the guy who completely cooked up a phony hate crime. You'll remember him back several years ago now. Was it 2018, 2019? Well, he's back. He's reached a settlement with the city of Chicago, and he said, quote, in a statement after reaching a settlement, quote, "I am innocent in the eyes of God." You are a sociopath, sir. Well, one of the people who was prominently actually pushed that Jussie Smollett fake hate crime hoax was one Kamala Harris, who confirmed to a crowd this week that she is indeed looking for a job.
As I said, I think your best work is ahead of you for sure, 100%.
I am unemployed right now.
And we are very thankful that you are unemployed in the manner that you are, given that you were running for a job nobody wanted you to have. Well, nobody of sound mind wanted you to have. When we come back, things we often take for granted as seen through the eyes of an Afrikaner refugee, and the city of Seattle is blaming Christians after they were attacked by Antifa. It's all coming up next.
I just want to show everybody what a normal, safe parking looks like in America. It's clean. They honor their veterans. Sales. I mean, this is 6 o'clock. It's a place called Lowe's. It's like a Home Depot store. It really is awesome.
That is the voice of one of the new Afrikaner refugees from South Africa. Just videotaping a parking lot, a Lowe's parking lot, and discussing this is what life in America is like. You don't have to worry about your cars being broken into. You don't have to hire armed security to guard your cars when you're out and about. It's peaceful. There was a Memorial Day display. He said they honor their veterans here, or they honor their service members. And this is like paradise to this guy. It's still a scene too many of us probably take for granted, and God bless this country, that there are still scenes like that in this country. However, one place where that is not as true would be Seattle, Washington, where this happened over the weekend.
Enforcing the law, that's all we're doing. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's the latest from SPD right now. The men and women of SPD doing their job. Think about the risks they're taking right now, just trying to keep the peace here at Cal Anderson Park. Again, today started off with a peaceful Christian rally to stand with children against transgender ideology. Dozens of Antifa militants dressed up in black bloc now trying to disrupt, pushing cops, fighting. Absolutely insane.
Absolute mayhem in Seattle, Washington. That's a report from TPUSA on the ground. As police clashed with Antifa, who were trying to attack a rally of Christians who were standing up to the trans mob. That happened in Seattle, Washington, but the story doesn't end there. Pro-life Christians held a prayer event at Cal Anderson Park in Seattle over the weekend. But the viewpoints expressed at the May Day USA event in support of sanctity of human life, the sacrality of biological gender, and the importance of the nuclear family and the right to freedom of speech and religion proved intolerable, not only to the lefty radicals whose violent response prompted police to shut down the event early, but also to the city's Democratic mayor, who subsequently smeared the Christian organizers as bigots. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell released the following statement, quote, "Seattle is proud of our reputation as a welcoming, inclusive city for LGBTQ+ communities, and we stand with our trans neighbors when they face bigotry and injustice. Today's far-right rally was held here for this very reason, to provoke a reaction by promoting beliefs that are inherently opposed to our city's values in the heart of Seattle's most prominent LGBTQ+ neighborhood." So there is Seattle's mayor overtly blaming the Christians for holding a rally, blaming them for Antifa's violent response. There is still some darkness in pockets of this country. Some long-standing darkness, some high places, if you will, actually, for a better Old Testament analogy, that just seem like nothing but terraforming. Nothing but terraforming. If we don't have just a miraculous a miraculous revival, nothing short of terraforming, will actually fix these places. And now here's this. Lest you think I'm completely writing off the city of Seattle and other cities like this, there's a man who, during a certain part of his life, a lot of people, maybe even Christians, would have written him off as well. And of course, I'm talking about Phil Robertson. Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson has died at the age of 79. Robertson, famous for founding the Duck Commander Hunting Company that became the focus of his A&E show, and previously battled multiple health conditions, including Alzheimer's. The TV personality's daughter-in-law, Corey Robertson, announced his death in an Instagram post on Sunday night. Phil Robertson seems to be the rare man who in public life finished well, at least from what I know and can see from the outside looking in. And he never missed an opportunity to share the gospel. He did it so many times in interviews and speaking engagements and out-and-out sermons like this one.
Repent, turn to God, believe the gospel, obey it. They'll baptize you in a few days. The old you will disappear and the new you will come forth. God will seal the deal. Now that you purified yourself by obeying the truth, Peter said, love one another deeply from the heart. For you've been born again. I told you the first birth gets you here. The second birth, being born of God, of water and the Spirit, will get you out of here. One thing's for sure, you're not getting out of here alive. You have no chance if you keep getting high, getting drunk, and walling around and filth coming out of your mouth. You'll probably die an early death. You say, I have no shot to get out of here alive. None. I'm saying, how could they have dreamed this story up? Jesus is at the right hand of the Father, constantly cleansing us from any sin. He's given us imperishable seed implanted that marks you for the resurrection. I pray that you respond to that if you haven't. Father, we love you. We got one shot from my vantage to get out of here alive. It's putting our faith in the death of your son on a cross back there 2,000 years ago. And 3 days later, raising him from the dead, guaranteeing ours. Father, you have told us plainly, as in Adam, all die.
There's Phil Robertson in a message to some young people. You heard him invoke his own story there when he said, who could have dreamed up a story like this? And his own testimony is incredibly powerful. And his life, his work is a simple yet profound illustration of the simple children's song, This Little Light of Mine. Because Phil Robertson, whether he was just with his family, whether he was building his business, which became the focal point of a massively successful cable show, reality show, or the Life Post show, he never missed an opportunity to share the light that was within him, and became a rare example, and it seems like in the modern world, of a man finishing his race well. Phil Robertson, dead at the age of 79. God used him in some incredibly powerful ways. And finally, air analysis, slightly acidic, mostly necessary. We're going a little bit personal this time. Things that they didn't tell me about having a family, starting a family, and keeping a family. Things they didn't tell me. There's one that became incredibly apparent over the weekend. It's kind of sad, but it's good to have this perspective, I think, anyway. And I think if maybe I can illuminate this to other people, or maybe even reinforce others to others who already understand this truth, I think that's a good thing. But nobody told me how rare and just infrequent spending a normal day together, all together, with your family would be. And I'm not talking about on holidays. I'm not talking about just other one-off days. But I'm talking about just days where y'all get up together and you just do everything together as a family for an entire day. Just a normal day. I got to experience that on Friday. You know, Saturdays and Sundays are a little bit different. We do things a little bit different. The routine is different. And I'm always home on those days. But just having a normal day together, all together, was incredibly cool and relaxing and fun. We have 2 little ones now. We took them to different parks. Just did a typical day that you would do with 2 little ones. Typical housework. Those are the moments with family, I think. It's not necessarily the vacations, though. Those can be fun. It's not necessarily doing the one-off things, though those are important, and it's important to maybe expand horizons for little minds. Taking them to museums, taking them to aquariums, the zoos, which our family does as well. But it's just the times that you just get to do the normal stuff together, and how rare that actually is, how infrequently it happens. There's just something about doing it together, just doing a normal day together. The normal mundane stuff together. That is really, really cool and really, really rare, unfortunately. So don't discount the mundane when you get to do it with your family, if you have one. Those are the times where I think the bonds form the strongest. And I could feel that over the weekend. And that was really cool. It was also just nice to have a few days away from everything work-related, whether it's this or the day job. That was very cool. Don't just look down on the mundane, especially if you get to do it with your fam and those closest to you. All right, that's going to do it for a Monday. Back at it again. No, it's a Tuesday. See, I'm already screwed up. That's going to do it for a Tuesday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.